All right, welcome to Crumb Millionaire. We got a lot to talk about, so let's start. So, the other day, I was at my job, and actually somebody who saw my video came to work and recognized me, actually started talking to me, which I'm amazed because I think that video only has like 120 views on it, and I think like about 100 of those were me. So, it's pretty cool. But anyway, we got talking about stocks and things like that, and she was asking me like what things I was buying, what things I was thinking were going to make money in the future, and we talked a little bit about that. But I started looking back on that, and I was thinking, I was kind of really doing her a disservice because, I do stocks, and I made a lot of money, sizable amount of money in the stock market last year. But, there's a lot more to this than just going into stocks, right? That wouldn't be the first thing I throw my money into. That's probably one of the last things I put my money into when you actually look at my monthly budget. So I kind of wanted to talk about what is the Crumb way of building wealth, right? And so I have here 6 steps on what to do to build wealth as a Crumb. So the very first thing that I would do is I would go look at my budget. I would make a budget every single month, beginning of the month. You make a budget, see what all your money is going to be going to, your non-negotiable expenses. Make sure you put some money there for fun or whatever kind of other things that come up, food, etc. And this is the important part here. When you add all the numbers up, you need to be positive, okay? I don't care if it's $100 positive or $500 positive. There needs to be something extra at the end of the month. If not, you need to stop something because this is a road to ruin at this point, okay? You need to get off of that road, all right? And the nice thing with this too is there's plenty of sites that you can go to that can help you do this, right? So I think mint.com has one. One I used in the past was Every Dollar. So there's software or apps out there that can help you do this. You can put them on your phone and help you keep track of your spending throughout the month, making sure you're kind of sticking within that budget. I always recommend planning for fun, okay? This is not something here where you're just gonna have to be, just stay locked in your house all day. Go ahead and have fun. Just budget it out. Put a certain amount aside and work it into the budget, right? And don't go past it. All right, now your cash flow positive, good. You know what, you're in a good spot. Now we need to do the next important thing, which is have some kind of rainy day fund, okay? You need to have some kind of money set aside because we know something's going to happen. We don't know what it is, but something's going to happen that's going to be this unforeseen expense, and you need to have some money put away for it because if you don't, that means you're going to either go into credit card debt, you're going to do payday loans, you're going to be doing all these horrible, horrible things that are going to end up costing you way more money in the long run than just if you had the money set aside in the first place. So you need to have an emergency fund. With that extra money you have at the end of every month, you need to be putting that into your emergency fund, okay? Well, Conrad, how much do I save up? I am so glad you asked. I would say at least $1,000. That's kind of the Dave Ramsey thing there, is at least $1,000. However, I go way further than that because he's not taking into consideration what if you lose your job during that time period. So I would actually say 3 months worth of non-negotiable expenses. So your rent, maybe your car insurance or, whatever is something you can't live without. That needs to be budgeted in and you need to have 3 times that amount. So I would say, like I said, $1,000 minimum. Maybe you're living with your folks or something like that. You don't really need a whole lot of money, because you don't have any rent or something. Okay, cool. $1,000 then. If you are living on your own, then it needs to be 3 months worth of your non-negotiable expenses, okay? All right, so now you have your emergency fund or rainy day fund, whatever you want to call it, saved up. Now we need to start tackling credit card debt, specifically high interest debt. So there's your credit card debt. But what I'm not talking about is I'm not talking about your car loan. I'm not talking about your mortgage because those tend to be much, much lower interest rates on it. And it's not that big of a deal, right? Plus, it's going to take you forever to pay these things off. More than likely. Okay, credit cards though, they seem to be a lot more manageable and they end up costing you a lot more money because the interest rates on them are outrageous, right? 15, maybe if you're lucky. Chances are it's probably closer to 20-25% interest rate you're paying on that. Get out of that, okay? Now, you're either going to be trying to target that debt, like with there's a debt snowball method where you kind of get whatever credit card you have the least amount on, pay that off first, and then start paying whatever you're going to that first card, starts going to the next card, and then eventually this kind of builds up to you're making ginormous payments on your credit cards. There's another one called the debt avalanche, which is basically you're targeting cards with the highest interest rate. So that one's kind of more about value, right? It's kind of saving you more money in the long run. But, you know, like Dave Ramsey says, seem to be talking about Dave Ramsey a lot today. Finances are 80% behavior, 20% head knowledge. So a lot of times with that snowball method, it's easier for you to see the gains, right? You're paying off cards. Then you kind of get hyped up and you're like, yeah, look, we do this, right? So there's a lot to say about the mindset behind that. Or you could do my personal method, which is I defer it, right? I go get another credit card. I transfer it over to that one with a balance transfer is what the process is called. And the cards I'm getting, though, they have a special offer on them that are like, you know, at least 12 months, most of the time 14, 15, 17 months, no interest on that card. And then I just pay that off, zero interest, right? So I figured, okay, how much do I need to spend in order to pay off this card within that time period? Okay, I'm going to send it that way. That way that card's paid off and I don't have any interest, no interest payments on it. There is a little bit of a fee sometimes, right? Sometimes you can get it with 0% balance transfer fee, but most of the time there's a little bit of a fee, but it's like 5%, 3%. Much, much, much better than 15, 20, 25. I mean, holy cow, 25%. Oh, it's so bad. Just stay away. Just say no, kids. Say no to the credit cards, okay? Well, we'll get into that. Say no to, how about this instead? Just say no to keeping a balance on your credit cards at the end of the month, all right? Next step. Actually, before we move on to that next step here, real quick, I highly recommend people create a Credit Karma account because it helps you keep track of your credit score, first of all, but it also gives you a good idea of what kind of cards to look for, right? There's actually like a credit card section there, and you can look for balance transfer cards and see what are the good deals that are going on out there. You can also find this stuff also like sites like NerdWallet. There's also YouTube channels like Credit Shifu and Ask Sebi. They deal with this kind of stuff all the time. Highly recommend them. Okay, I believe, you know, some people say credit cards are completely evil, right? Like they're the devil or something. But I think it's more about, you know, it's fire, right? Like if you mess with it the wrong way, you're going to get burned. If you use it the right way, then it can be a great tool for you. And that's how I feel about it. Keeping a balance on it at the end of the month on a high interest debt credit card is not using it the right way, by the way. But let's move on. The next step is retirement. Okay, so now that you've gotten your credit cards taken care of, you're not paying interest on them at least, then you can start putting away into your retirement. I recommend you start doing this as early as possible because compounding interest on this is going to be enormous, okay? Like the last few years of before you actually retire are the most profitable years in terms of the returns you get on your retirement accounts. It's ridiculous. Like I calculated that in the last couple of years of my retirement, I was going to get over $100,000. And then the years before that, it was like more money in the last couple of years than in the first 10 years of my retirement. So the earlier you get, the better. It really pays off. So I don't agree with like Dave Ramsey. Let's go back to that, right? I don't agree with his method of like, first pay off all your debt and then start investing. That's insane to me because you miss out on so much money later on down the road. You should be putting something away, okay? So if your work has like a 401k, you should at least, okay, be getting your employer to match it. So whatever they're matching, if your employer's matching 6% of whatever they're paying you, then you put in the 6%, right? They're gonna match it up to 6%. My employer does match up to 6%. So with my paycheck, right, I have it set so that 6% of my paycheck goes in, they pay the other 6%, and it's just free money. Right? Your employer in a 401k is essentially giving you extra money. You just can't use it like right now to go out to the club, right? Like you have to put it in a retirement account and use it later on. But it's still them giving you extra money. So you still have it, you just can't spend it, right? Now if you're in the public sector, which I also have a public sector job, you'll get a 403b. A lot of times they don't match that. I hear some places do. My place does not have a matching program with it, but I do have a 403b. You could also there's also another avenue you can take called an IRA. Now, an IRA is an individual retirement account, and it's basically you opening up your own retirement account. A lot of people put index funds in there, right? They just invest in like an S&P 500 index fund, or maybe like a total stock market fund or something like that. You can do that. You know, that's another great thing you can do. You can avoid a lot of small fees. I don't want to go a whole lot into this. There's a lot of things we can talk about when it comes to retirement. But basically, you should be putting something away in retirement, okay? Your 401k, you're probably not going to max that out because I think it's $18,000 right now that you can contribute in a year. That's a lot of money. I'm sure people don't have $18,000 they can contribute into that. But the nice thing with the 401k and the 403b, by the way, is that money you're not taxed for anymore, right? So if you put like, $5,000 into those accounts, that money, they can't tax you, right? That money is pre-tax. So you're lowering your tax burden by investing in your retirement account. And once again, it's kind of like the same thing. You just can't use that money, but you still have it. You don't have to give it to the government, right? So I would recommend you meet with like a fiduciary, very important fiduciary, okay? And figure out, okay, how much money do I need to contribute into my retirement account so I fall into that next lower tax bracket? That's kind of like my recommendation would be, because you're probably not gonna be able to put $18,000 away in a year unless you're making a lot of money and you don't have a whole lot of expenses. In which case, you're doing really great. The IRA, you can only contribute $6,000 to it, so that one's a lot easier. Maybe you could probably cap that out, right? You could probably cap that part out. But yes, start investing into your retirement. Super, super important. And now let's move on to the next one. All right, so here's the one that you've all been waiting for. Now that you've taken care of everything else, you can invest in yourself. Okay, that's not what you're looking for at all. But seriously, I would do this long before. In fact, I debated whether or not this would be number one on the list. This is super important. Okay, but I'm putting it here at the end just because, maybe it is better to kind of get financially into a somewhat stable place before you start doing this. But you should always be investing in yourself, okay? You should always be looking to learn new skills, looking to, maybe there's something you can learn at a community college, or maybe you can take a class on it or some sort of course that's going to help you out in your job, which is then going to help you get promoted. That's something you could do. It could also be just something as simple as, like I want to be healthier. I want to have more energy so that I can go do more, right? I can go work a second job. I can do more stuff in the day. So, I'm going to invest in eating better food for myself. I'm going to invest in going to the gym. I'm going to invest in reading up about real estate. Maybe I want to do a side gig where I'm a real estate agent. So I'm going to go get my real estate license. Those are all fantastic ideas, okay, of investing in yourself. So make sure you have some of this money that is going into making you a better version of yourself, whether that's spiritually, emotionally, physically, or if it's also just intellectually, right? You're learning new skills, right? Now you know how to trade stocks. Now you know how to program, so maybe you can make your own app. These are all great things because this is what you're going to do to make a side hustle to whatever your current job is. And who knows, maybe that side hustle could take over and that's going to be your new job now because you're making a lot more money there. But you first got to start planting that seed, right? You got to plant a little seed and then nurture it and just kind of water it and put it out to the sun and make sure that it grows into something that's going to be amazing one day. So invest in yourself, even if it's just like getting an Audible. That's like the simplest way I think I could direct you to invest in yourself is get an Audible subscription and start, putting books on there. Just listen to it on the way to work, right? And there's so many good things you could get just from an Audible subscription about, real estate, about mindset, about, how to sell better. There's so many things you could learn on there. Get an Audible subscription, super cheap. I think I pay like $20 for it, and I get like two books every month, and I just go through them every month. So Invest in yourself. So this money that's left over, right? Maybe it's only like $50 at the end of the month, or maybe it's $100 or something like that. Point is, this money is you now using that to invest it, and kind of you have like a controlled kind of risk factor there. Yeah, maybe you can invest it all in Bitcoin, and maybe you can lose it all, but it was only $100. You didn't really need it for anything else, and the potential, maybe it could have doubled up or 20x like it did, in winter of 2017. Like, this is the money that you can start putting into other things, because you already have your basic needs met, right? You already have your retirement taken care of. You have the most important stuff taken care of. This is just kind of free money. So you want to put it into a stock, then have at it. And if it goes bad, well, you know what? You're either going to earn or you're going to learn, right? You're either going to make money or you're going to figure out what went wrong in that situation, how you could do better next time. Or maybe you're like, you know what? The crypto is a bunch of hooey. I'm never going to invest in crypto again because of that. Okay, cool. Well, that's what you learned, right? You learned to do that. So that's the Crumb Bum method of building wealth. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I hope, if you're thinking, hey, you know what, Crumb Bum, you don't know what you're talking about, you should do it like this. Or Dave Ramsey has it right. You should just not have any debt ever. Fine. Go ahead and put it in the comments. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say. Like I said, I want this channel to be kind of a discussion ground for some of these ideas that I'm presenting. This is just kind of my idea about finances, how to handle finances and handle your money before you start actually putting, money in the stock market, like in a private or an individual account. Those are kind of like my thoughts after my experiences and my reading and my studying on this topic. Now, we went over a whole lot of information. I promise I'm going to be making more videos about probably each one of these topics in the future, because there's so much I could talk about with it. I know this video is getting kind of long, but man, oh man, it could have been much, much longer. It's going to be like an hour-long video. So we'll touch upon those other things one at a time in the future. Thank you for watching. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe, and have a good day.